So,
Well, hello, Jeniece. It's so great to be on the Black Vegan Wellness Show. I'm very excited about being here.
awesome. I'm glad to have you as always. Won't you share with us about your journey?
Super. Yeah, it's really something because my journey started pre-teenage. My brother, thank God, he brought the wellness message into our family. And our family was kicking and screaming. We didn't want to hear it, but he had joined a religious endeavor, and he talked about not eating pork. And man, we didn't want to hear that. But that was my prelude to health and wellness because I saw him and I saw him change, and he stopped drinking sodas and stuff like that. And then, as I began to be an adult, there was some sickness hit my family. And, my mother had a couple of 4 heart challenges before I lost her. And my sister died at 52 with a heart challenge. And my sister died at 49 with a heart challenge. My brother died at 52 with a heart challenge. So I knew it was something that I needed to do, So I started my journey back in the 90s back then, Jeniece. And I know that watching my mom go through that, it was something to do with diet. And I watched her clean up her diet, even though I said we were kicking and screaming. And her life began to get better, even though she'd had those challenges. And then, as I began to start my endeavor, of course, everybody was wondering, because my father was a farmer and also a carpenter, and everybody was wondering, what's wrong with you? You're not going to eat meat. You're going to get sick. And so it kind of started from there, and it went on, and that was around 93, 94. And, it's good to be on a show like this, the Black Vegan Wellness Show, because, there was a couple of restaurants in town that I began to go to then too. And we'll talk about that a little later, but that's how my journey started. It started because I had a lot of illness in my family that was a lot due to diet. And some of it was due to smoking too, because, my siblings were smokers also, but that's how it started. Yeah.
Awesome. So, you and I have a lot in common because my family they like to have a good heart attack. I hate to say it, but
That's terrible to say, but it's so true.
It's true.
Yeah, it really is.
But so I decided that's the main reason why I changed my diet as well, my lifestyle, I should say. But you and I, when we get together, we like to talk about all the things plant-based, like all the journey, how when we started in the 90s and the way it came. So what was your biggest challenge when you started your journey in the 90s?
Well, as we were talking a little bit before we started on the show today, not being a vegan like some people are in different religions, when you become an infant into, your adult life, my brain still had some of the stuff about fried chicken and smelling it when you went to the stores and different stuff like that, right? And, we were talking today even about some of the sweets and different things, But I remembered when I was a child that when I would eat certain things, I thought I would have a cold. And dairy was one of the first things that when I began to become a vegan, on my journey, I dropped. And I can remember being in the kitchen with my oldest daughter, and I told her, I said, I'm going to stop eating dairy, I'm going to stop eating beef, and I'm going to clean my diet up. And she says, you can't do that. I said, well, if I do, you got to make my bed for 6 months. She didn't, but I did. But that was one of the challenges as I began to go down that journey, missing that. And I didn't realize that dairy and different things like cheese have so much sugar in it that your body actually started craving that. And I was craving that. And, there wasn't this, one of the great things about now, there's so many things out there. There's so many cheeses that taste like cheese. Some of them are healthy. And as we talk, and Jeniece and I talk about this all the time, some of them are not healthy. So one of the challenges was for me is like so many other people aren't now, is where do you go get something that's similar to what you had? When you're out moving around, can you go get a burger? Can you go get, something that's healthy? And back then, the major restaurants that we would go to would be basically Asian restaurants, Thai restaurants, because things were clean there. And so as you moved around, and when you're out and about, now change is there, and you got to be able to reach for something. And if you don't take it with you, it can be contaminated. So that was one of the major things is when I started was finding places that was readily available, and they pop up. Go ahead. Yeah, they pop up, because go ahead.
No, you're right. Because I was gonna say that I think the thing for me, Melvin, because you're right, you hit on some good things, is I don't think dairy was a problem for me. I think protein was my biggest challenge. And the thing is, like you said, I would go to a lot of Asian restaurants or Thai restaurant. And you're right, because they knew how to cook tofu. They understood what veganist and vegetarian was, because they grew up in that lifestyle, right? So it was hard. But I know you, and we had this conversation, dealt with some culture stuff, because how I had to deal with you what? You're not gonna eat this for Christmas? You're not gonna. So give me your perspective, or give me an experience with that.
Sure. One thing about being in a African American family, food is always celebrated. I mean, everywhere you go for holidays, you're going to have all this good food and different things. So when you say that you're doing something totally different, it's like you get, for lack of a better word, you get challenged. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you going to eat this? And I think a lot of it is because people are trying to protect themselves, and so, sometimes I would have my family going, well, what are we going to cook for you? And it's like, you don't have to cook anything for you. I'm bringing my food. So similar to what I heard you say a lot, I started bringing my food to events, and, at first they looked at me, my mom and my dad both kind of looked at me like, what's wrong with you? But they knew I had a mission. And that mission was to be healthy. And, like other vegans, when I first became vegan and vegetarian, I wore it on my sleeve. And I was trying to, preach to everybody. Now I probably don't talk about it enough. I'm having to kind of retrain myself. But I was on that soapbox. And, now we have so many statistics that tell us that, things are bad for you. Eating meat can do this, can do that. But yeah, I had all those challenges from the family. But now, when I go around most of the time, my kids, I have 3 children, and they eat really healthy. Sometimes they eat vegan, vegetarian, and sometimes they don't. And that's really good. And, so as I matured in my eating habits and my plant-based lifestyle, my family began to just accept that that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because my husband is not he's not a vegan, he's a flexitarian, which let me break down that. A flexitarian is somebody that flex and flow into our lifestyle, which is the vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. It's flex and flow into the vegetarian lifestyle. I'm gonna put it like that. I don't know about you, but I had a problem with accepting that, because when I was wearing my veganness on my sleeve, I was like, we're not welcoming them into this culture, but no, we get to welcome everybody. We get to, because because we started somewhere, right? So they get to start somewhere. And if you're a flexitarian, we invite you into the lifestyle, because you get to learn and get to make the decision where you want to be at in this world, which vegetarian in the vegetarian level, or the veganist, or fruitarian, which is very few of them, or where you want to be at. And we're not going to get into that part of the education, but I just had to bring that up because my husband's a flexitarian. But you're right, I had to deal with a lot of that as well, Melvin.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did is what you said is I would bring my stuff to the restaurant or wherever we are, and I still do. I still do. You hear me all the time and say, "Well, you can make that. You can
No.
make that." But and what you don't know, guys, Melvin can cook very well. Melvin can cook very well. Share with us, Melvin, how did you get to cook so well?
Yeah, it's and that's really something because when I was at home, I was one of those children that mom did everything, right? In my family, anyway, is the cooking, and when my children were born, that all flipped, and I began to cook, and the great thing about it is I used to eat out a lot. And, I'm going to go back a little bit and share about how veganism and how vegetarianism changed. In the 90s, late 90s, there were some restaurants popping up.
Mm-hmm.
And people now that are willing to make the transition from flexitarian to vegetarian to vegan, it's a lot easier now. Because back in the day when those restaurants was popping up, I had a lot of friends that was 7-Day Adventist. Matter of fact, the guy's been cutting my hair. I'm going to date myself, over 30 years as a 7-Day Adventist. And they had, a lot of food that was vegan, vegetarian. Now, was it healthy? Some of it wasn't, from Luma Linda and other, it was canned and different things like that. But there was an African-American restaurant that popped up in Oak Cliff. And it was called Strictly Vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool because it was doing what we always talk about transitional food. When you're transitioning from flexitarian to veganism, you have like veggie burgers and different things like that. Well, this restaurant was really known for that. And they had like a soul food tint to it, which was really good. And actually, I met my wife, Lisa, at that restaurant. And that was amazing that I met another vegan there, and now we're married. But, to get back to how I developed the cooking deal was that, I still like some of the Southern foods that I grew up on. I still like greens. I still like, cabbage. I still like all that stuff, right? But there's ways of preparing that you don't have to use meat. And it's just as tasty, And
Yes.
so I started experimenting with it. And I had friends of mine that loved to cook. One of my friends that was a vegan, Oscar, he loved to cook. I didn't. But now, guess what? I love to cook. And it's really something that I used to hear people all the time say, I like to cook. I like to get in there. It's the soul of the food. And I was like, yeah, right. But now I'm right there at that place. So now, I'm always experimenting in the kitchen. I'm always doing stuff, and the kids like it. But to go back to, if you walk in a grocery store, and when I share with people, they want to know how I can become vegan. The biggest place to become vegan is when you first walk in the grocery store, sometimes usually on the left-hand side, is fruits and vegetables. But it's only a quarter of the store.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of the processed food take up the whole store. And so if you want to know if something's vegan, if you get it from that section, it's probably vegan. But that's how I became, experimenting, cooking and stuff like that. Now I love it. I really do, and I'm always experimenting with my wife and doing test kitchens, and she likes cooking also. So it's really good.
That's good. That's real good, because you're right. When I go grocery shopping with my clients, I show them how to shop in the grocery store. And you know how I am. I'm not big on processed.
Right.
I kind of raw, percentage of raw to non-raw.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I want you to share with everyone is what would you recommend? How would you tell a beginner vegan where to start at?
Yeah, and it's kind of like I've heard you share and other people share also. And that is, you don't have to drop everything all at once. If you want to get healthy in your lifestyle, you don't have to drop everything at once. Most of the people I know that started on a plant-based lifestyle usually started by dropping certain foods in their life, And, we know what's not good for us, and we know how we feel different. Most of the people start with the larger proteins, and they start with maybe dropping beef, pork, you know, and then they go on to maybe doing other things. And I always say, don't try to do everything at once
Yes.
because you don't want to set yourself up to fail.
Yes.
You know, you want to do it a little bit at a time, you know, and, you know, so many people used to always say, well, you know, I don't know if I'm going to like that other stuff. Well, you don't know unless you try it.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, like I said, if you start with the vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you want to have a majority of your plate vegetables anyway, and a small portion of protein. So if you start with that and start dropping things, then you can, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with what? The first step.
Exactly.
So, but I would say, you know, one of the things we do in the plant-based universe is we say do a plant-based Monday. A lot of people are doing plant-based Mondays now. You know, see if you can go one day just doing, you know, fruits and vegetables. You know, have those vegetables, you know, not cooked in a lot of butter and other stuff.
Yes.
You know, have them clean. And the good thing about it now, we're on YouTube. YouTube University has so many recipes out there. Whatever you want to eat today, if you want to cook it in a vegan lifestyle, you usually can get it on YouTube University, or you can go to Black Vegan.
Yeah, you can come here. And I was going to say, you don't even have to go to YouTube University. What you can do is put in the comment one, and you can get on my Meatless Mondays email list. That's what you can do.
And that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
That is why we're here. This is part of the YouTube University, this channel.
Yeah.
So if you tune in into the Black Vegan Wellness Show, you're going to get this. Yeah. If you have any questions, all you have to do is pop on that. But for me to start somewhere is start somewhere and do it and see what it does for your body. Exactly. You know, when I first became a vegan, as you said, you know, my family was like, oh, you're not going to have enough protein. Yeah. In these last 30 years, my doctor has never said that my protein level was not where it needs to be. But he has said that my heart looks good. You know, the rest of my vitals look good. And I need to keep doing what I'm doing, you know.
And the thing is, Melvin, okay, that is so good. I'm glad you got us there. Because do you want to share your age?
Yeah, sure. No problem. Well, I'm 66 years young.
Okay. And I said, y'all not going to be able to believe that he's 60 plus.
No, I'm 66 years young. And, you know, the thing of it is that I was somewhere the other day and somebody was like, and you doing all of that? I think I was lifting something or doing something, you know, but, you know, I have energy I have so much energy. And that's where my focus is today, is helping men from 40 on to develop a lifestyle where they can still be energetic. They still can play with their grandchildren. I give my grandsons, I have 5 grandsons, 2 granddaughters. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that. And I give them a run for the money on the basketball court, you know, so.
Not a run for the money, huh?
Yeah, a run for the money. You know, you take a shot, you're going to have to pay if you miss it.
I know that's right. Okay, where's you got a tip bucket so they have to pay?
Yeah. So,
that is funny because you said energy, and I say that because when most people who start the journey, that's the first thing they notice is their energy level. My husband said I'm like the with energized bunny because I wake up with energy. I am I'm an all day person. He said I wake up with energy. I go to bed with energy, and I'm like, because of my lifestyle. But you're right. I have more of my clients when they start the journey, they say, "Oh, my energy." And then they go from energy to their skin, from the skin to, you know, their body. They're noticing how the relationship they have with their body and how the digestive system. So my question to you, Melvin, is what was the first thing you noticed when you started this journey?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you know, there's so many people came into my life. You know, when you start a journey, if you look around and the way you know that you're doing the things that you need to do is because people come in your life to assist you with the journey. And when I was at the vegan restaurant I talked about, there was a doctor named Dr. Jeniece that came along. She talked about veganism, vegetarianism. So it was like, oh man, that is so cool. You know, she's she's saying what I need to hear.
Mhm.
So it was just so many people came along at the time that assisted me in that journey and in that lifestyle.
Mhm.
I knew I was on the right path. And then I read this book called The Celestine Prophecy.
Mm.
And it talks about people in Peru that ate a vegetarian vegan diet, how everything about them got different. Their vision got different. They began to see things that, that they usually didn't see in their lives. And that kind of happened to me, where people would pop up in my life that was assisting me with my journey, like Dr. Pukru, Dr. Delbert Blair would come to town and they would talk about veganism and how good that is for you and how your life can be sustained for years and years. Some of them were talking about 100 years and being, really, really vibrant, and as I mature in life, I know that things can be on the right path. I had two friends of mine that it was the three of us when we were young. We were just inseparable sometimes. And those two friends, guys, had a heart attack last year. And I'm not saying that to say that, they needed to change their life like I did. I'm just saying that if I know that I'm doing everything that I can do to ensure that my family is not going to have to take care of me because I went and ate something I shouldn't have ate, then I feel real good about it. Because, there's an old cliche. When you know better, you should do better. And the thing of it is, if science is telling me that if I do a certain thing that I'm genetically disposed, I can change that by doing something different. And that goes back to exercise.
Yeah.
My dad lived to be about 90, I think he was about 92. And he had a garden at 92. So he was like bench pressing, working in that garden, probably, I don't know how many pounds. He just was. He was just that type of guy. So it just reminds me that movement and diet can really, really change your life and make things better for you.
You said a word right there. Because one of the things you said that I look at and I go by is my grandmother died at 96, and she didn't die because of an illness. She died because the doctor said her body parts just got too old. That's what they said, literally. So and the oldest person that lived in my family on my dad's side to live to be 105, and on my mom's side I think 90 something. So what I'm saying and what you're saying is, if we do everything we need to do correctly according to the will of God, according to this temple, because this is God's temple that we get to give thanks back, show gratitude by feeding it properly. Longevity is on our side. Exactly. Now, we all have an expirational date, right? But we get to help to live a longer life. And when we're doing that, we also we're showing our legacy, what is possible.
Yeah.
We're showing what is possible.
And that's such a great takeaway, Jeniece, is that what am I showing to my children, my grandchildren? And, they know me. I remember my granddaughter, I think she was about 6, and she had a show and tell. That's what she wanted for her birthday. And she said, they call me Pawpaw. She said, Pawpaw, I want you to talk about health. That was the best thing that she ever could have said to me, I mean, it just really was. Because they know me. When I go around them, I'm going to ask them, if they sniffing, did you eat some cheese yesterday? Did you have some pizza? And most of the time they'll fess up and they go, yeah, I did. And it's the thing of it is, I have to put that on their mindset.
Yeah. Because
my brother put that on my mindset. My brother's 83 now. He's in my son said I have grandbrothers because of their age, right? But I have one brother that's in his 90s. He's 89, is going to be 90, and my other brother is 83, and they're both in good shape. Nice. My brother that's 83 is the one that brought the health message to our family, and I thank him for that all the time. And it's so good to see people live into an age now where they have their faculties. They're not dependent on anybody. And I saw the opposite, where I just lost a friend not long ago to one of those debilitating diseases that usually come from food lifestyle.
Yeah.
And to me, he died at a very early age. I mean, he was only 70 years old. To me, I know to some of you youngsters that's watching this program, you probably know 70, but that's a young age now.
Oh, yeah.
It really is. And and his family was so good in supporting him in the way that they could, but they suffered. They suffered, and so are you causing a harm to yourself that can make you suffer because of what you're putting in your mouth? And trust me, I'm not perfect. I mean, just because I'm trying to live a better lifestyle doesn't mean that I'm perfect. You can ask my wife, and she'll tell me sometimes, you had one sweet this week. There you go. You know what I mean? And so that was one of the things. And then, as you shared before, Jeniece, it's as you begin to eat healthier, you read labels. And I know,
key.
With you sharing with people and with me sharing with people on how to change the lifestyle, you have to read the labels because even today, compared to, as Jeniece said before, in the 90s when there was a few vegetarian and vegans, now there's a lot. But the industry have noticed that we're here. And if you notice, there's all kind of different foods. When we were coming up in our journey, there was Loma Linda, there was a couple of brands out there. And then you had stores that popped up.
Yeah, they didn't last long.
Yeah, and some of the stores were really good about having certain foods in there. Now those stores have been bought. Yeah. And some of the stuff in those stores are junk.
Oh, let's not even go there, right? You know how we can have that conversation.
Yeah, that's why I'm not calling the store names. I ain't gonna even call the name,
right? But we know
but I'm saying that to say that you have to read labels even when you pick up a plant-based food. You have to read the label in the plant-based food because a lot of times, just because it's plant-based don't mean it's clean.
Yes.
And meaning it's clean, it might have too much sugar in it. It might have too much sodium in it.
Yeah. And it may be more processed than anything. Like you said, it's not clean. But I was going to say to that point, because there's unhealthy vegans or vegetarians out there. People think, because I was that person. When I first started my journey, I was started to lose weight and I was very unhealthy vegan. I was very unhealthy vegetarian and vegan. Let me tell you how unhealthy I was. You want to laugh, Melvin? I used to make me a French fry sandwich. I would get 2 Texas toast, 2 Texas toast. Take some fried French fries, put some, because I didn't know better. I just knew I was giving up meat and I still wanted a sandwich. The most unhealthiest way to eat.
Right.
I mean, carbs down, grease, because the fries was greasy. Guys. And I was calling myself a vegan.
Yeah. And that's some of the things as you look at food and you look at how you eat, it gets better as you go.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the mistakes that we made, I used to be, when I first became vegan, like I said, I'd be out. I'd run and get some French fries, but I would make sure that they're clean. I'd ask the people, do you cook that with the chicken?
Yeah.
Do you cook that with such and such? And your family look at you. When
hate to go to dinner with us.
And I still do that. And that's why you have to trust the restaurants. And some people make mistakes. I used to go to a coffee place that they have all over the place, and I'd get a soy latte. And they sometimes would forget and put the other stuff in there.
Oh my gosh.
I would have to say, make sure you don't put that other stuff in there because it's going to make me sick if you do.
And they're going to pay my doctor bill.
So, it's little things that you have to check. And, we were talking about how do you begin your journey?
Yeah.
I would say just begin a journey of wellness. I talk to people all the time. It's beginning a journey of wellness to get your body as clean as you can, because, we saw a bad pandemic come through here.
Yes.
And who did it affect more?
Us.
It affect us. It affect the Black population more than anybody.
Always do, no matter what.
Yeah, well, they say when, sometimes in different organizations or different places, when somebody gets a cold, other people get, pneumonia. And the thing of it is that you have to look at that as an educational period. As I told you, my dad lived to be 90-some years old. He was here when the first pandemic when it came through, you know?
Yeah.
And they were trying to treat that pandemic with natural products. I'm not even going to say what the natural products was, but they tried. No, I'm not. No. But they did. But I'm just saying that they knew that there was something going on that they needed to look at.
Yeah.
And so all I'm saying today is look at your diet. Start there first. Build as healthy as you can be. So if something happens, your body has a way to fight it.
And get the help, because I guarantee you, if I had someone that looked like me, or even had the knowledge, I would have had it alone. It wouldn't have took me 4 years to be a vegan. And then I wouldn't have started out being an unhealthy vegan. So I believe people go before you to set the pace, to bring you alongside. So get someone who's been before you, because I hear so many stories, and you have too, Melvin. Well, people say, yeah, I was a vegan for a year and I went back to it because of I didn't have the support. I didn't have the support. Or I went back because, I just felt like this, because there's so many myths out there. Like I didn't get enough protein. That is not true. You can get protein from plant-based lifestyle, or just whatever the reason is. I get more clients to come to me restarting their vegan journey. So guys, this channel right here, you're going to get so much resource, so many people. You're going to see so many people who've been on the journey and have not looked back. I've been on it since 94. Melvin been on it how long? Since 93?
Yeah, about 94. 93, 94.
Yeah. And 66, charging to play basketball. Charging. About to be 55. I mean, I'm about to be 57. I don't even know how old I am. 57. But I'm killing it in the gym. Energy level on 1,000, and just living life. So the lifestyle is proven. There's other people out there. I was looking at this interview today with the 72-year-old woman who she's raw vegan. But she said she did 107 push-ups on her 70th birthday. And she said her grandkids and little kids in her family can't even do 5. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be challenged. So the thing is, guys, hey Mary, it is veganism is mainstream. You just want to make sure you're doing it healthy, because it's a $1 billion industry. Yeah. It's $1 billion industry now. When we started, it was unheard of.
Yeah, and as you said, Jeniece, you might not be at the point of wanting to be plant-based, but where can you start getting your life to be better, healthy, health-wise? So you might, I have a neighbor of mine, and I think he's 68, 69. He might be 70. But he was saying the other day, I'm juicing now. And I have so much energy now, and he might be on, I might be on now, but it was so cool to hear him say that, So if you're flexitarian, if you're carnivore, if you're vegetarian, if you're vegan, we're all on the planet at the same time. So what can we do to assist each other in being healthier? And you got this channel, the Black Vegan Wellness Show. You can leave something in the comments. I have the Plant-Based Universe. I'm going to be back on here talking about some other things that you can supplement, because that's part of the problem too. Yeah. When you look at the fruits and vegetables, sometimes you'll see other things that said fortified with, because my dad was a farmer. The next time we come over here, I'm going to bring a picture of him. There's not the same thing in the soil that it used to be because of the pesticides that we put out there. So the plants are not getting the nutrients that they used to get. So that's another subject for another day. But I'm so glad to be here on this channel, and so much good stuff just coming out of this. And we're always talking, as she said before. And, I know when I get off, I'm just like, man, I left that out. I left this out. But if I can say one thing to people that's out there, just start being healthy from somewhere, because
Yes,
you're going to help your family by being healthy.
that's key. That is so, Melvin. I am so glad that you joined me today. Because, guys, let me tell you, Melvin is my friend, like I said, and we definitely get into some good conversations. So you guys see here, this is how we is, but we go like we didn't go as deep as we can, but we'll do that on another time. So I am going to sign off and say, guys, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you come back. Today's episode was powerful. I was excited to have my friend here. I want to thank you guys for joining us along this journey towards a healthy, compassionate community. And remember to follow us, click the subscribe, and get the link. I mean, click the subscribe so you can be notified when the next interview. I have an interview coming up on the 27th. Mary D Wellness is going to be on the 27th, and we're going to talk all things mommy and health and wellness for new moms and existing moms, just all about moms. Okay, so until next time, stay compassionate, stay empowered, and continue spreading love, abundance, and transformation wherever you go. And by God's grace, we will continue this journey, and we will see you guys on the Black Vegan YouTube podcast show next on the 27th. I had to think on the 27th. So until then, we'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend.